Welcome to Take It Up with Jessica Lee. My guest is Rashim Mogha, who is the Senior Director of Product Management at Oracle. Rashim, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Excited to be here.
You are actually part of the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Group, right?
That's correct. I am into the product management side of Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, which is Oracle's infrastructure offering.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're passionate about evangelizing this business unit. Tell us a little bit about your journey, because I know you're an expert in this enablement side.
Yeah, so my core specialty lies in enablement, be it sales enablement, field enablement, or customer enablement. And, we live in Silicon Valley, and there are so many startups being formed every day. But most startups, 80% of the startups actually fail. And the reason why they fail is not because they don't have a good product. It's because they're not able to translate the features of that product into business value for the customers.
I see.
So I think enablement and evangelism actually plays a very significant part in making a product successful or a service successful. Because customers do not buy products. They do not buy feature sets. What they buy is the value that it brings to them.
Right.
And if as a business you're not able to translate that for your customers, you fail at some level.
That's like storytelling, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The messaging.
And when most of these startups and when these products are built, they're built by engineers, right? They are user stories that they have in their mind, but how does it solve the problem of the end user? Somebody has to do that, right? And that's what an evangelist does. And that's what an enablement person does. So my key underlying passion is to enable and empower everybody.
And you've built some pretty high, scalable programs.
Yeah.
Tell us about that at scale.
Yeah, so at Amazon Web Services, my team was actually responsible for all of the boot camps that happen, the learning events that happen at large-scale events like reInvent, and also Amazon Web Service Summits. At Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, we actually built a lab learning platform which essentially allows anybody to log into the platform and be able to do a few tasks, learn about them in a span of just 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm a big proponent, coming from the training and enablement industry. I know that everybody's attention span is so limited, right?
Yes.
There's a research that said it's less than 7 seconds, I think, which is less than a goldfish. So microlearning is big on my list, and that's what I like to do. So everything that we build around now is with a focus of just teaching one skill to the people that is actually that can be translated into an achieved goal as opposed to just concept.
Yes.
Yeah.
Switching a little bit, I know that all this knowledge that you have, you've also been pretty much combine it with your passion for helping women to progress. Can you share with us about that?
Yeah, so in last few years, I've been really active in bringing more women into technology and speaking at a lot of conferences like Women Transforming Technology, Women of Silicon Valley, contributing to the mentorship programs with Next Play and the Expat Women. But it's a very selfish motive that I have behind it. Yes. And the reason is that most often I have found myself to be the only woman having the seat at the table. And it's lonely out there, right? So my selfish motive is to bring those women into technology, to bring women leaders into technology, to inspire them to get to the next level so that we are not alone. The women leaders are not alone when there comes a time to have that seat at the table.
Yes. So one of the achievement you have is actually putting all of this thinking, this content into a book that you can share with us.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you about that. Fast Track Your Leadership Career.
Yes, so this is my first book on leadership, fifth book on combining my published books. But we released it last year in September. And within 11 hours of its release, it was an Amazon bestseller.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So you wrote a few books before, but that was for work.
Those were more technology books, tech books. So I
Okay.
have one on Java Web Services. For those who have been in the tech industry for a long time would know that Sun came up with their integrated development environment IDE called Sun One Developer Studio, and that was another book that I had. It was a Sun recommendation, but I think it was time for me to start giving back to the community in a way that I could inspire women leaders, and that's why this book, Fast Track Your Leadership Career, came into being.
Would you mind sharing a little bit about what is in here? Like, give us some tips or stories.
Yeah, absolutely. So the book is really, a gist of my own personal experiences, but also experiences of my mentors and other women leaders. And there's contribution from about 6-7 women leaders in here. The book is essentially a template in terms of how you should go about carving a leadership path. And it actually came from my necessity. I actually started speaking about the topic before I wrote the book. And the reason why I started speaking about it was because I would buy leadership books and I would read, but leadership books would focus on just one strategy. So to have a holistic strategy, I had to go through books and kind of skim through the fluff to get to the point. And I come from a project management background, so everything has to be a template for me. Everything has to be implementable. So that's what I wanted to give to my audience, a template that they could use in terms of how to build your brand, how to identify your superpower, how to navigate work politics, how to make sure you are heard, how to build a support system. And start from point A and reach to the point Z, and then kind of, in a DevOps model, go back again and fine-tune things. So it was very important for me, to have that template. And once I realized that I had a framework, it was natural for me to go out and share it with others in form of this book.
One of the tips that you share with me would be good for the audience to know is when you are a leader, instead of asking for things to be done, you should take more of an authoritative approach. And how can you tell that little story?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had the privilege, or I wasn't so privileged, I would say, either ways. When I got promoted to my next role as a manager about 17 years ago, very early on in my career, and I was a 19-20-year-old manager trying to lead team of people who were older than me. And I wanted to be respectful, but at the same time, I wanted to be seen as a leader. And very early on in my career, I got this advice from another woman leader who said, when you write your emails, do not say, can you please take this on? You can be polite without asking that question. You can say, please take this on.
I see.
And then when you say, can you please take this assignment on, it would mean that you are asking or requesting somebody to do that. As opposed to, and the person can very well come back and say no, you know. But when you say, please take this on, you're still being polite, but you're kind of telling the person to take this on and move forward with it.
Right. Got it. So I like that. That's a great story. So you have a lot more of that in here.
There's a lot more of that in there. I also talk about certain topics that are taboo topics, if you will.
Taboo.
Yeah.
Okay. We'd like to hear about that.
So I talk about crying in this book. As a leader, crying as a leader. I am a very emotional leader. I bring my whole self into work. Right? And there are times when things don't go your way, or you're frustrated, or you see instances of conscious and unconscious bias that make you feel frustrated, and that can sometimes lead to crying.
Yes.
Now, early on in my career, anytime I would cry, I would go back quickly and go to my computer and look for ideas on how not to cry at work, right? But then I did some research on it and figured out that it's okay to cry.
It's healthy to cry.
It's healthy to cry. There's research that actually shows that people who can cry and deal with their emotions at that point in time are able to cope up better with their emotions.
Right.
I had seen my male co-workers swearing and
pounding their fist
on the table, and kind of letting go of their frustration.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was just a different way. It's also interesting as we talk about conscious and unconscious bias. There is this unconscious bias that exists, that if men cry at work, they are considered to be powerful, versus when women show their emotion, they are considered to be weak. And I really wanted to talk about this in my book and kind of put it out there for everybody that it's okay to cry if you cry at work. And every time I talk about this topic, there's so many women who just come to me after a speech that I have delivered or a workshop that I have conducted and say thank you for kind of mainstreaming this and letting us know that it's okay,
Yes, so that's great. I mean, some of these discussions, we don't actually sit down as a team to talk about. So it's good that you have it in a book, and then you can actually have a discussion at work to talk about some of these issues. I mean, it's the bonding, it's the trust.
It's the trust, and it's showing your vulnerable side to your team as well, because in today's day and age, we all work together as a microorganism. Everybody brings something in. Gone are the days where you as a leader knew everything. I truly believe that leaders don't have answers to all questions. The way our technology is changing, the speed at which the innovation is happening. However, leaders have the ability to find the right kind of resources who will be able to provide those answers.
Right.
So you have to accept it first. And when you start working in your team, you have to build that circle of trust and circle of influence.
And allowing people to be authentic, to bring their full self to work. It's better for business outcomes.
Yeah. Okay. And I've always led global teams wherein it was never a 9-to-5 job, right? So when you're spending more time at work than in your personal life, it's important that you don't fake it. You bring your authentic self.
Okay, great. I know you have a podcast, and I actually listened to it, so that's great. So I wanted to bring it up as one more channel that people can learn about the fast track your leadership and career.
Yeah, so it was last year in November that I decided to kind of start this initiative, which is called Empowered Women of the World, or eWOW. And it was basically another way to mainstream empowering women, right? And globally. So when I released this book, I realized that the hard copy was actually not available all over the globe. It was only the Kindle copy. So how can I make things available? And today creating content is so easy. Anybody who has a cell phone and an internet connection can create content. So this was a great way to kind of mainstream the ideas. And going back to my training and enablement piece, I'm a big proponent of microlearning. So each episode is like 5 to 7 minutes.
Yes.
It's available on 12 channels, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Breaker. Just search for eWOW podcast and subscribe to it, and you're ready to go. And we have a new podcast every week.
So what's next for you? What's the big goal this year that you want to achieve?
So last year, through all the work that I did, I was able to empower about 25,000 women globally. This year, my goal is 100,000 women. So we have a virtual summit that's coming up April 1st to 3rd. We're bringing in 20 plus women leaders across the globe to talk about topics. We're going to have 3 tracks. There's going to be a tech track, there's going to be a leadership track, and there's going to be a mindfulness track. And there's career conversations as well, like basic things like how to ace an interview, for example, right? And we have Rashim Mogha from Amazon coming and talking about it. And then there is a diversity leader, Sangeeta, who's coming in and talking about how leaders, be it men or women, can actually bring in a culture of diversity and inclusion in their existing teams, right? So there's a lot of great content around blockchain, around cloud computing, around mindfulness, resilience. So that's the goal. 100,000 women empowered this year.
Excellent. Well, I hope that we can promote your show and the event so you get even more attendees.
Thank you so much. Anything, I mean, this is a movement, as you and I were talking about it the other day. And we all have to come together and bring in that pipeline of women leaders and make sure that they stay in that, be a part of that pipeline and continue to be a part of that pipeline.
Yes. So this is Women's History Month. So thank you so much for being on the show and talk about it and talk about your book and sharing some of the tips with us. And I would love to attend your event. So
I will share the link with you.
All right, excellent.
It's free for everybody, by the way.
Rashim, so I want to mention that you're about to receive an award next week, right? What's that about?
Yes, so this is a Women Empowerment Award, and I am getting the Game Changer Award for 2019.
Game Changer.
Yeah. So it's exciting because this is not just in the tech industry, but it's across all industries. And it's essentially, there are various categories, but the Game Changer category is more about women leaders who are trying to bring more women, empower more women coming into the tech industry, and kind of, you know, with the goal of empowering women, putting them on the map. So very, very exciting.
Excellent. Yes. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
What are some of the challenges that you face in not only representing Oracle in enabling this OCI business, but also in getting more women in power into the tech industry?
Yeah, you know, the challenges are more around conscious and unconscious bias. And it's interesting that we normally, when we talk about bias, conscious or unconscious, we typically point our fingers to men. I have seen in my career that I have seen a lot of unconscious bias coming from women as well. And actually, one of my friend and I was having this, we were having this conversation where we were like, I don't know why women leaders are so hard on other women, right? And I think part of the reason is because we all think that this is the piece of the pie and we're going to share it all. So there's a sense of insecurity. What we do not realize that it's actually the whole pie that we have to ourselves, right? That's what the available piece is. And there is enough for everybody.
Yes.
And the second piece is that just because we have been through a long, hard journey doesn't mean that others have to go through that to realize the value of their self, right? Because we have gone through this long, hard journey, we should actually make it easier for others.
Right. Yes, and I hear that too, and I think there is a shift. You know, that I think before there was a lot more sense of competition, right? But I think now there is a mind shift in that we have to support each other. You know, we have to really be there to make sure that we get more women in the position of leadership, and we can do that better if we do collaborate together and support each other.
Yeah, and together we make an impact. So there's a very interesting conversation that has been happening in the Bay Area in last 1 year, I would say. We've all talked about glass ceiling, and now the conversation is shifting a little bit, saying glass ceiling does not happen at a VP level or an SVP level or an exec level. There's literally a glass ceiling at each level. Every level. Yeah. And I'm happy that the conversation has shifted to this, because earlier on it was all focused about, how do we become a C-level exec? Now it is like, you know, for an individual contributor, it's all about how do I get to my next level and become a manager, and not be seen as somebody not worthy of promotion just because I'm a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of work ahead of us, but we definitely have made progress, and I feel very blessed to actually live in the age that we are living in. So there's plenty of opportunities, but plenty of work to be done.
Yeah, but together we can.
And I appreciate you putting a lot of effort in helping women to get more visibility and advancing their careers. Yeah. Congratulations on your
thank you so much again.
Game Changer Award again. That's fantastic.
I am excited about that.
Thank you very much for being on the show. It's been great talking with you.
Thank you so much for having me, Jessica. It was a pleasure.
There you have it, folks. Take it up with Jessica Lee. Thanks for watching.